Hello and welcome to the National Debate. I'm Madhavdas G. Viewers, the pain and suffering of the 28 families who lost their loved ones in Pahalgam has been a bitter pill to swallow for the entire nation. 1.4 billion Indians want swift action, and there's growing demand for a decisive step that will completely demolish Pakistan's terror infrastructure. The Prime Minister has vowed to destroy the roots of cross-border terror. He's vowed to avenge the tears of each and every family that lost their loved ones. The centre is preparing a blueprint to wipe out Pakistan's terror infrastructure once and for all. From airstrikes to surgical strikes, all options are being considered. As the nation demands answers, the opposition is also questioning the centre over the intelligence failure. But today we ask, is India prepared to wage an all-out war against terror? And how should India wipe out Pakistan's tentacles of terror once and for all? And can our domestic politics somewhere impinge upon our larger strategy? That's going to be the debate. Joining us here in the studio, we have Shazia Ilmi, national spokesperson of the BJP. Veena Sikri is former High Commissioner of India to Bangladesh. Joining us also is Advocate Nikhil Jain. Vivek Srivastava is a political analyst. Advocate Anmol Panwar is the national spokesperson of Aam Aadmi Party. But let's quickly take a look at what's happened this week, politically speaking, as far as this particular story is concerned, and why this is the important subject of debate. Under consideration, of course, following the PM statement are, of course, various options. A precision strike is one option, of course, that comes out from the Prime Minister's signal to the world. Under consideration are cross-border surveillance expansion as well that has been discussed. All of this on the table, including counter-infiltration grid reinforcement that sources have shared with Times Now. Now, we have seen, of course, how the Prime Minister has given a very strong message from Bihar. And all we are talking about is what really will be there in terms of if there is a Uri-style response. There is nighttime commando teams to hit launch pads. That is one option. Pros, of course, that it's hard to intercept, and cons is that it has limited shock value. This is one of the options, of course, that we are discussing. Also, of course, launch pads 0 to 3 kilometers across the LOC targeted. Pros, it's something that we're familiar with. Cons, lacks the element of surprise. And already we have seen how the Pakistan forces have been all alert. Now, there's also the possibility of a Balakot-style response using Rafales, Su-30 MKIs, as well as the cruise missiles. Pros, it's a strategic surprise element depending on how and when India does this at a time and place of its choosing. The cons, it needs deep intelligence and damage proof. Of course, also involves hitting camps where the terrorists emanate from 30 to 150 kilometers inside of Pakistan. Now, these are some of the aspects that are being discussed in terms of India's response. Let's also quickly take a look at what really have been the political responses that we are looking at. If you can quickly pull up all those responses. Yesterday, we saw an all-party meeting take place on the issue of Pahalgam, and we saw how opposition leaders such as Mallikarjun Kharge came out to say that the Prime Minister should have been present. The centre's intelligence failure is what was blamed by the Congress President Mallikarjun Kharge. We have also seen other political parties come out. Sanjay Singh, Aam Aadmi Party Member of Parliament, coming out to say that they expected the Prime Minister to be present at this particular meeting. Also said that Bihar is more important for the Prime Minister than these attacks that have taken place. That was the allegation coming in. Shakti Yadav of the RJD coming out to make a shocking claim that Pahalgam was a scripted political ploy. Now, that's a statement that has been made by the RJD spokesperson, also saying that this is a dangerous design of the ruling party. Some of the political comments that have come in, including the fact that campaigning before the last rites are over, also is a charge that has come in from Shakti Yadav. Let's quickly open this up and take it across to our political panelists over here. Let me start with you first. Anmol Panwar, it's all right to put the government and hold it accountable. That's the job of the opposition. No two ways about it. But when it comes to an issue such as this, there are people across the country who've been targeted, and it is something that has shocked the entire country. Ultimately, these are perpetrators coming in from across the border in Pakistan. Why is it, so important for opposition parties to play politics at this point of time? Shouldn't we all be standing as one and sending out a unified message to Pakistan?
Madhav Ji, first of all, we extend our heartfelt condolences to the families of the 28 innocent civilians who were brutally murdered by the terrorist organizations. And I agree with you, the whole country today is angry and upset. आज पूरा देश एक साथ खड़ा है. आज हमारे देश पे हमला हुआ है, हमारे परिवार पे हमला हुआ है. ये राजनीति का समय नहीं है. It is time that the central government give a befitting reply to the terrorists who dared to take lives of those innocent people. हम आज केंद्र सरकार से सवाल नहीं कर रहे, हम केंद्र सरकार से ये नहीं पूछ रहे कि आपने बड़े बड़े दावे किए थे कि मोनेटाइजेशन डीमोनेटाइजेशन के बाद आतंकवाद की कमर टूट गई, आपने कहा था धारा 370 के बाद आतंकवाद की कमर टूट गई। हम ये सवाल नहीं कर रहे। हम उनसे ये नहीं पूछ रहे कि आखिर पिछले 10 साल में क्यों 400 से ज्यादा सिविलियन मरे, मोर देन 573 सोल्जर्स वर मार्टर्ड एंड मोर देन 1500 वर इंजर्ड। हम बिल्कुल ये सवाल नहीं कर रहे आज उनसे। आज क्योंकि प्राथमिकता ये है कि हम सब एक साथ खड़े हों, वी स्टैंड यूनाइटेड इन ग्रीफ विद द वंस who have lost their lives, और हम जवाब दें, घर में घुस के मारे, बदला लें, क्योंकि आज पूरे देश की यही मांग है।
ना पूछते आपने कुछ सवाल पूछ लिए, but Shazia Ilmi, your response to him, he says that all we are asking is that the government has to tell us about the decisive response, and of course questions coming from Aam Aadmi Party and the Congress Party asking, of course, why the Prime Minister was not there, was this an intelligence failure? These are some of the questions coming from opposition. Your response?
Well, it's not surprising at all. While all of us are reeling under this terrible attack, and I think the emotions that all of us feel is that of anger, rage, anguish, and deep sorrow. In fact, it's difficult to even look at the visuals and see what some of our brothers and sisters are going through at this point of time. Yet, once again, in typical opposition style, you know, the quick gun style of Aam Aadmi Party, that's what Sanjay Singh said yesterday, pointing fingers at the Prime Minister, the same party which asked for evidence of surgical strikes. And it is the same Kejriwal who was a poster boy at that point of time who did a video and said, oh, it's all very good that you went out there, but what about the veracity of this attack? How many people did get hurt? So it's the same old, same old. We heard what Robert Vadra had to say. It was reprehensible. Then AIUDF, I mean, it's bordering on sedition on the likes of what Satyapal Malik said, on that the government has actually planned Pulwama. I mean, that thing could be cruel, reprehensible, obnoxious, inhuman as that, but it was said. This is the visceral hatred that these parties have for Modi and for India. They will go ahead, keep chipping away, you know, take a hammer and keep hitting out at the heart of India, piece by piece, and be the original Tukre Tukre gang, only to get some political mileage and bring down their own government, their own army, their own intelligence, and their own people.
Okay, one by one. You must answer that, because, you know, when we've seen in the past politics over Balakot strikes, you know, the Saboot gang, as the BJP has called them, you know, somewhere or the other, we have to be united. When we do these politics, who benefits but Pakistan at the end of the day, Aman Panwar?
माधव जी, आज सवाल जरूरी नहीं है। आज घटिया गंदी राजनीति की जरूरत नहीं है देश को। आज एक होने की जरूरत है। मैंने इंटरप्ट नहीं किया, मैंने आपसे सवाल नहीं पूछे, मैंने केंद्र सरकार से कोई सवाल नहीं पूछे। हमने तो कहा है हम आपके साथ मजबूती से डट के खड़े हैं। आज 140 करोड़ भारतीय एक साथ खड़े हैं, जवाब लो उनसे हमले का। और सबसे जरूरी, द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चंस आर फ्रॉम द चाइल्ड हु लॉस्ट हिज फादर, are from the sister who lost his brother and husband. What did he say? Yesterday in the all-party meeting, it's the central government who admitted that there's a security lapse on their part. हमने तो नहीं कहा, केंद्र सरकार ने खुद माना कि security lapse हुआ. When they admitted that there's a security lapse, when there were intelligence inputs that a terror attack could take place, then why wasn't the security beefed up? This is the question. वो 4 साल का मासूम बच्चा जिसने अपने बाप को खोया है, वो मीडिया वालों से रूबरू होकर ये पूछ रहा है कि भाई वहां सिक्योरिटी क्यों नहीं थी? Why isn't our country have a full-time home minister?
The allegation, if I can just set the record straight.
Why do we have a part-time home minister?
No, one second. If we can set the allegation right, is that the hoteliers went there without taking the due permissions from the police. But that question will be asked. Is it the state government that we're talking about? Is it the central government that we're talking about? One second, I've got your question. But what was said in the meeting, I want Shazia to respond to that, because you are raising it. There is a talk of a security lapse. If there were tourists there, why could the security not have been there, is what they are asking. Your response.
Of course, and those are very real questions. And I think it hurts everybody, each one of us. But to make it the sole talking point and a point of contention and a political point at this point of time, when all of us are realizing that, you know, there is something that has gone terribly wrong. And there is definitely a lot to fix and work upon. And then there's a very clear message from the Prime Minister that there is no way this will go unpunished. And we have seen the changes and we've seen the huge improvement. I know Kashmir really well and I know what Kashmir is. But to mock the idea of Naya Kashmir, to mock and point fingers at our intelligence agencies, to say, oh, where were our forces, they were caught napping. And to say, oh, where was the Prime Minister doing? Why isn't the Prime Minister there in this meeting? Why? I think this is really petty.
Okay, this is nitpicking. This is nitpicking. Once again, one by one. Let others also come in, please. Vivek Srivastava, the question, you saw the statement of Shakti Yadav. You've seen what Mr. Aminul Dar, if I've got his name right, has said. He's the AADF MLA. You know, all of them are saying this is some kind of strategy. Politically devised strategy, you know, aimed at the polls is what the RJD spokesperson says. Someone else says that it is all scripted. It's all to a certain act. No, clearly, if you make comments like that, these are going to be lapped up by Pakistan.
No, it's not the question of Pakistan. Pakistan has already done what it had to do. I mean, now there's no point talking about what Pakistan thinks. But yes, I totally endorse what Sanjay Singh ji said yesterday. I totally endorse it. We have already participated in the all-party meeting. All the opposition parties unconditionally, as he said, we have given the support to the Prime Minister and the government. लेकिन Prime Minister को चाहिए थोड़ा proactive आए ना. Meeting में नहीं आ पा रहे हैं. आप election campaign कर रहे हैं. आप देश को संबोधित करिए. आप बताइए क्या हुआ था. और अगर security lapse है, be a brave Prime Minister and say yes, there was a security lapse. We'll take care. It doesn't happen again. But वो चीज नहीं हो रही है. That is what, as an opposition person, I feel that is missing. And this is the time.
You don't think the diplomatic measures taken, the cancelling the SAC visas, one by one. Let's go one by one. The Indus Water Treaty, you know, being held in abeyance, whether it is the cancelling of SAC visas, the shutting of the Atari border, these are not important according to you.
I'll tell you. These are very cosmetic measures. The water treaty you are talking about, we do not have dams in place as of now. Very technically I'm talking, and anybody who is over here listening to this debate can check it out. उसके full enforcement में कई साल लगेंगे. आपके पास dams नहीं है surplus water को handle करने के लिए. Yes, but those dams cannot be built. Let me bring in Veena Sikri. Is this just a cosmetic measure, Veena Sikri, or are these very real measures? Because already Pakistan seems quite rattled because they've issued a copycat statement.
माधव जी, पहले मैं आपको ये बात बता दूं. Why are you having this debate to encourage further for the opposition to create this divide in the country which does not exist? Today the country is one, you said that yourself. Then why are you encouraging all these people to stay? Let me tell you about the Indus Water Treaty. The whole of Pakistan is absolutely torn apart because the Indus Water Treaty has been put into abeyance. Their stock market fell by 1,000 points yesterday because they know that this Indus Water Treaty is their lifeline. For 15 years it has been discussed in various intellectual channels in the ministry about the Indus Water Treaty and whether it should be put into abeyance, because number one, it's a very unequal treaty. Number two, India has not been able to take the benefit of all that it can, even on what was a little 30% or 20% given to it. And with Pakistan coming at all times and questioning design and questioning engineers and so on. And now, by putting this treaty into abeyance, we have been able to open up what we will do with the western rivers and the eastern rivers, and we will be able to, whether it is storage, run-of-the-river projects, and we will be able to go ahead with those projects. And I think that this has been a very, very major and much awaited step by the government of India. It is a very strong decision. It is a very bold decision. We have to now follow up on it by improving whatever we want to do with the water supply. We don't have to give any more data supply to the Pakistanis. We don't have to give any more meetings to them. We have to go ahead and do what we want with the western rivers and the eastern rivers on this. I think the decision to expel the defense attaches, Army, Navy and Air Force is a very important one, because these are known to be ISI representatives, and they've been creating havoc in the country by inciting different communities, different people against the government, and creating havoc even among the political parties, by talking to them and telling them all about. So I think we should not allow this kind of division to come in. And I think this whole question of a debate, instead of talking about the responses, we're talking about where the Prime Minister was, and this is all wrong. When you don't call an all-party meeting, there's a problem. When you call an all-party meeting, there's a problem. So I would like to say that we have to focus on the issue at the moment. We have to focus that the government has taken important decisions. There are more decisions to be taken. Certainly there are more decisions to be taken. Whatever kinetic decisions are to be taken, it will not be publicly discussed. But I think what has already been done is a very, very important step. And we have to get the support of the international community. The call of the international community, the support of the international community shows itself the reality of the event that took place. Shows itself is a terrorist which came from Pakistan. We are not going to have President Trump call our Prime Minister. We are not going to have, whether it is Japan or Israel, other countries speak to our Prime Minister, express their grief and absolute shock at this event if there was something like what the opposition party is saying, that something done from within. This kind of trivialness really shocks me. When we have the whole nation at stake, when something like this can happen tomorrow, such trivialness for us is such a great sorrow. And I can tell you that the support of the international community, we have to turn that. There is a debate even in America. Some intellectuals have said this is the moment to declare Pakistan as a state sponsor of terrorism. We have to work together to get the global community to do this. This is what we have to do. And we need the economic heft. We have the economic heft. We need the diplomatic heft. We have the political unity to do this. And if we do this, get sure Pakistan comes on the FATF blacklist. Put them on that blacklist. Because if you want to stop terrorism, you have to look at the source of money. You have to look at the source of weaponry. Where has it come from? Now, many of these, the weapons they're talking about, the M4 carbines, which were the ones that the Americans left behind in Afghanistan. These are the issues we should be talking about.
Yes.
Please, let's not trivialize this debate.
Let's not trivialize this debate.
I would not come for your discussion if we're going to have a trivial debate.
No, absolutely. The point
I do not want a trivial debate.
Absolutely. As far as the Indus Water Treaty is concerned, respond to her question. Because
I'll respond to all the questions.
If it was such a trivial move as you're stating, why have past governments not done it?
Yes, I'll tell you now very, very clearly. The kind of condition in which Pakistan is today, and we discussed this very point on this very channel yesterday at length. You think those Pakistani generals and the powers that are ruling that country are really bothered? आप किसको हिट करेंगे गरीब पाकिस्तानी को? इनको फर्क पड़ता है? ये नवाज शरीफ के खानदान को, इन जनरल्स को, मुनीर को, इनको फर्क पड़ता है?
What is your claim? That we should not react militarily?
No.
Are you saying you should not react militarily?
Let me complete.
I really want
आपने बोला मैडम कि we need to get the international community, we need to take them in confidence and act. Yes. Did we do that after Pulwama? Were we able to do it?
I'm telling you, please stop it.
No, it is
please
not
look at the
trivializing.
situation today
After
and
every
take action in the interest of the country. Are you an Indian citizen or not?
Of course, yes.
Are you concerned
that
about
is why, as somebody from the opposition, I have to raise the issue.
I mean,
आप एक के बाद एक पुलवामा के बाद कुछ और, आज फिर आ गए, आप एक्ट कर नहीं पा रहे हैं, आप हैंडल कर नहीं पाती है सरकार. I have to question.
Even Israel took some time out to react. Even Israel took some time to react. India will react at a time and place of its choosing. And let me bring in Nikhil Jain.
Anger is against your own government.
Yes.
Your own prime minister.
Obviously, it is a security lapse. It has to be.
Very sad.
कमाल है, लोग आपने मरवा दिए, security lapse हुआ है, आपके बाद
This is wrong.
This is wrong.
Pakistan ने लोग मरवाएं. Let us at least be, in today's day and age, at least let us say what has happened.
No, don't give cover fire to the government.
The person
don't give cover fire to the government.
The same thing happened. The same thing happened at the end of the day, whether it was 26/11 or any other place.
Our nation.
Your nation is there, but the government has acknowledged there was a security lapse.
Not at your
They knew there is
political
movement.
interests.
मतलब बॉर्डर से लेकर के यहाँ तक वो गन्स लेकर के आ गए, आपको पता नहीं है.
Certainly you can ask questions of the government, but at the moment it's important for us to be united. Let me bring in Nikhil Jain on this. Nikhil Jain, at least I want you to answer this because the Congress has been in power for a long time. If this Indus Water Treaty and it's being put in abeyance, and you're a lawyer as well, you know the impact of such a move can be put into abeyance as far as international law and its own constraints are concerned. Why was this not done earlier? This is something that many have written extensively on, saying that India, it's a lopsided agreement that actually benefits Pakistan at the cost of India. Finally, someone's taken, it's taken the guts to actually announce this and put it out in the public domain, and you can see the reaction in Pakistan today.
See, Madhav, whether the decision to take, suspend the Indus Water Treaty was right or not, I am not the expert on that. I'm being very honest. I am not into international law. I'm not into diplomacy. What I can say is that so far as international law is concerned, water treaties are something that are usually not touched even during times of wars. So we've had 3 wars with Pakistan and during those periods as well, and we've had 1 war during the BJP government and the other wars during Congress governments. We did not suspend the treaty. Honestly, I don't know whether it's a good step or not. What I do
You don't know if it's a good step or not?
Honestly, I do not know because there are more nuances to it. I will not pretend to come on television and say that I know it all. See, there are multiple nuances to it. One of the nuances is the fact that when you do not have the dam infrastructure right now, you can only control 5 to 10% of the water.
So we can now build the dams. That's the whole point.
Ma'am, I did not interject. Can
I explain this? Because, this is what a lot of people are obfuscating. Now is when Pakistan's objections will not matter anymore because there is no treaty or it's in abeyance. Now we actually can build those dams across the northern 3 rivers, which we could not do earlier because of Pakistan's meddling. Can you please explain
Exactly. There is a lot of, storage. There's a storage which we have on our side, but we have not been able to use it fully because, you have the dead storage level, this limitation, that limitation. We can go ahead and do that. That is already there. Some facilities are already there which you can use better. There's some desiltation we have not been able to do because of various objections raised. There are various steps which can start immediately, and I can tell you even that 5-10% that you talk about. For Pakistan, it is a big, they don't know what to do. I can tell you everywhere, this is the most significant step that the government could have taken, because the impact in Pakistan is itself revealing to you. And they have now, started by putting into abeyance the, Shimla agreement, and they have done and said that our aircraft cannot overfly, and we will say their aircraft cannot overfly. So these are steps in the future. But the first thing to show to the world is that we are united, and we are not nitpicking with the government, ye theek nahi kiya, wo theek nahi kiya. Ab badi cheezon ki baatein kariye. And I can tell you on the Indus Waters Treaty, this is known globally. Foreign, think tankers are saying, get Pakistan declared as a state sponsor of terror. Uski aap baat kijiye. Are you ready for that? आप करिए diplomatic support लीजिए, सबको बताइए कि we're ready for that. We want Pakistan to be declared a state sponsor of terror. We know this is the Lashkar-e-Taiba doing this.
Okay, one by one. Nikhil, then coming to you. Yeah, so, Nikhil, coming to you. Yeah.
So, of course, I mean, the lady is such a brilliant expert and a diplomat, and she knows much more than all of us, and she spelled it out. Veena ji, thank you for that. But, there are no victors here. There is no silver lining. And it's, when you see those pictures of those women, those children, and sitting by their husband's side, there is, there's no silver lining. But I just want to say one thing here. Indus Water Treaty, if you look at Indus, Chenab and Jhelum, and if you stop the flow, do you know what you do? Because it's an upstream thing, and you cut down on agriculture, electricity. So it hurts Pakistan like it should, and it had better. That's just one thing. Apart from that, nobody's talking about it, but how disastrous for them to actually talk about, because while 1960 Indus Water Treaty gave huge concessions to Pakistan, similarly 1972, so much could have happened. There were 93,000 prisoners of war. We could have played a card. I'm so glad that I said there's no silver lining, but I'm so glad, and how foolish is their diplomacy, and how inflicting are their own blows, that they are trying to abrogate and doing away with similar pact which never benefited us. So we are in very good stead. And I wish the opposition understood these things before they came out and said
Why have we conceded so much to Pakistan in the past? Whether it's Shimla Agreement, whether it's the Indus Water Treaty, we have always been the ones conceding to Pakistan. That approach has changed now. Will you admit that, Nikhil?
Madhav, I'm not going to answer that for the simple reason, because this is what the BJP is trying to do, deflect their own follies of the present by talking about the past. What is important is that the political... Shazia, I did not interject.
What is important is the wrongs of the past.
Madhav, what is important is that the Indian political establishment by large has always supported the government, whether it's the Congress rule government or the BJP rule government, whether it was Kargil war, whether it was 2008, whether it was Pathankot, Uri, Pulwama, and now Pahalgam. The opposition parties by and large have supported the actions of the government, save for a few leaders here and there like the RJD spokesperson that you talked about. No political party has questioned the government's decision to retaliate strongly against Pakistan. In fact, everybody is behind the government. They want strong retaliation against Pakistan. Nobody is questioning that why has Indus Treaty been suspended.
He just said it's a cosmetic measure.
He is not the CPIM Politburo. He is an individual. A smart individual. It is his personal opinion. I have a somewhat similar opinion.
No, sorry, there is no personal opinion here.
Hold on, Vivek ji, hold on. I am on the topic of the political establishment, not individuals, not Nikhil Jain, not Vivek Srivastava, not that RJD spokesperson, but the CPIM party, the Congress party, the RJD party. All these parties are behind the government in retaliating strongly against Pakistan.
RJD spokesperson doesn't represent RJD. RJD spokesperson is not a spokesperson of RJD, according to you.
Let's talk about what happened in the all-party meeting. And in the all-party meeting, the Prime Minister was not present, but every opposition party's leader and the Home Minister, Defence Minister, they were all present. And there was an absolute consensus between the entire political establishment in the country. What is important is that instead of now talking about Pakistan did this wrong, they killed our people, and now we are going to fight them, the question is, how did this happen? Major General Bakshi, who did command that sector for a while, he has made it very clear that until 3 years ago, that particular sector was manned by a single company, and now one company is managing two sectors. There is a November 2024 report by Dainik Bhaskar which points out how there are multiple security lapses. Now the government, frankly, it's laughable or perhaps shameful that the government is saying, oh, we did not know that tour operators were taking people to that valley, to those meadows. How do you not know in a security sensitive state like that? 2,000 people, 1.5 hours, not a single person came.
Veena Sikri, you asked the question, sir. You've asked the question. I'll listen to the response. Veena Sikri.
I'm saying that if there are security lapses, I'm sure that there is a forum to discuss those, and the government itself must be looking into those issues. Because in any case, in a place, whether it is Jammu and Kashmir, whether it is Karnataka, anywhere, India is such a vast, you can't, man every inch of territory. But what system should be in place, everybody learns from that. So that is one part of it. But we are here to discuss now what should the government do looking ahead, and how, if there's a political unity, which is a very good thing, if you're saying there's a political unity, which is a very good thing to hear, and I'm happy to hear it, we should be looking at how we can, get these issues done. Declare Pakistan a state sponsor of terror, make sure that the IWT Indus Waters Treaty is put in abeyance, and the steps to follow up on that we take to benefit our own people. And we look at other kinetic measures, and we're looking at, we know the INS Vikrant is sailed into the Arabian Sea, and there's so many other things to look at. And I think that the loss of lives is absolute tragedy. Very few of us can get over that tragedy. How to help those families is another thing, and how to make sure that they are able to rehabilitate their lives. The young children can have a good future for themselves despite this tragedy. Those are the issues we should be looking at.
Absolutely. And Vivek Srivastava, the question I want to ask you is this. Just last year, in your alliance partner, the National Conference's manifesto in 2024 Lok Sabha elections had talks with Pakistan. Has at least the India bloc come around as far as that, talks gang is concerned? Because this is not a country we can talk to. This is a country that only inflicts terror on India.
Okay,
let us get that right.
See. Now I'll be very clear. I'll address the viewers. How many viewers, please think about it. ये पानी रोकने से आतंकवाद रुकेगा, कितने मानते हैं अपने दिल में?
Sir, these are punitive measures.
सर सुनिए, 370 हटा था, इन्होंने नारे लगाए थे, सब खत्म हो जाएगा. हो गया खत्म.
सर 370 के बाद ये
आप सुनिए ना सर, आप मुझे टाइम नहीं देते हैं. आपने इतना टाइम दिया, मुझे 20 सेकंड तो दे दीजिए सर. Uninterrupted दीजिए.
Okay, 20 seconds.
मेरे हिसाब से this treaty is not going to stop terrorism in any way. It is just going to bother the poor farmers there.
It has never been done
पानी
before.
रोकने से पाकिस्तान की जमीन से आतंकवाद नहीं रुकेगा. ये बड़ी क्लियर सी बात है. आतंकवाद तब रुकेगा जब पाकिस्तान को लगेगा कि आतंकवाद करने से उसको घाटा है.
जब आप
उसके लिए आप क्या कर रहे हैं?
आप लोग
ये आप डोमेस्टिक ऑडियंस को,
where it starts, Vivek Srivastava.
domestic audience को address कर रहे हैं.
Simple question. The government has not said there are not going to be punitive measures, militarily speaking. We are looking at a situation beyond even Balakot or the surgical strikes. Why are you second guessing that will not happen?
Unfortunately, the government is trying to address its own domestic constituency, which is the citizens of India. And say कि देखो हम ये कर रहे हैं, लेकिन आप जो कर रहे हैं उससे कुछ होने वाला नहीं है.
Respond to that. That's a political question. Shazia, is the government addressing its domestic constituency? Well, that's what Pawan Khera has also referred to in one of his statements.
I mean, what do you expect the government to do? This is your government, your prime minister, your the highest executive, and what do you expect them to do? Obviously to take care of everything. And if that looks like a political stunt to you, that's a problem. If it's not talked about, it's a problem. I'm quite disgusted by this conversation and the line in civil is going. And let's go beyond this. Beyond 2016 and 2019 and the 90s, right from 47 till now, there is a certain ecosystem that is always talked about Muslims being targeted, ye khatre mein, wo khatre mein, tom-tomming it, creating this nasty discourse and keeping the cauldron burning, giving ammo and arsenal to forces out there which are evil and use this. And there's been mention of Waqf, if you know, in this whole conversation. And I think it's very sad. I feel very sad when I see whole lot of my Muslim brothers and imams sit out there and protest to keep Waqf going, which is 5,000 Muslims as opposed to 20 crore.
Well, absolutely.
सारे मुसलमानों ने इसको condemn किया है. Muslims across the nation have condemned this.
One second, one by one. What she's saying is not that. She's saying that the Pakistan PMO in its statement has used our domestic issues to propagate its own propaganda, and that is what we have to avoid at any cost. We'll have to leave it there. Veena Sikri, Shazia Ilmi, Advocate Nikhil Jain, Vivek Srivastava and Anmol Panwar. We are completely out of time on this particular debate, and certainly we hope that Sena minds prevail, that whatever controversial statements that we've seen over this week are a thing of the past, and all Indians, including all political parties and their leaders, stand united with the government and this time of crisis. Thanks so much for joining us on this portion of the debate.